Have you ever looked at a graded card and thought, I could crack this open, send it back, and maybe get a better grade? Today, we're talking about that gamble. All right, have you dealt with graded cards at all, John? Is this something you're even familiar with?
Yeah, absolutely. I am. I was big into cards when I was younger, like
Nice.
many kids were, primarily basketball. So when, I don't know, what was it, like the late 90s, I guess, mid to late 90s, maybe even early 2000s, probably late 90s mostly though. I was into cards. I was into basketball. Like I used to play basketball myself, used to watch, this was when Jordan was still running around and all of that sort of thing. And the Bulls were like the biggest team in the world and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, I had tons. I still have most of my cards. In fact, I actually had some here at my office. It's funny we're talking about this. I like literally was rummaging through a box and I pulled out, here's a Jordan right here. This one's ungraded. I don't know if you can see the reflection. It's
nice.
literally been in that case. It's one of these old screw together plastic cases, which I don't know that people use them much anymore. But like it's been in the same one since about, this is a 1991. It's been in this case since the mid 90s, literally. I don't know. I think if it was graded at a decent grade, it's probably worth like $150, $200 or something. So I could probably get it graded, right? But like, yeah, I'm familiar with it.
I would not have guessed that about you. That's interesting. So we have an employee. His name's Ben as well. Yeah. For years, he's a huge card collector, or used to be. For years, I've been trying to buy a specific card off of him. So it's a Mike Trout. It's called a Walmart Blue Mike Trout. So it's Mike Trout's rookie card. Mike Trout, before some injury history lately, was on pace to be the greatest baseball player ever. And then, of course, Shohei Ohtani came along and kind of blew that out of the water. But it's a very specific card. You could only get it at Walmart Blue. And it was a PSA 6. So he finally sold it recently, but I've been trying to get it off him forever. And all I wanted to do is crack it. I'm like, it's a PSA 6. If we crack it, maybe we get a 7, maybe we get an 8, and the value really jumps up. But the spreads between card grades like that, it's actually pretty wild. I'm gonna walk you through a few examples later on. So I've actually done this before. I've literally bought cards and said, well, they look pretty good on the screen. I'm going to buy them. I'll crack them open, take a pair of pliers, pull them out of there, send them back into PSA. I did have a few wins. I had a few failures. So I played this game. But I want to show you somebody who I think is doing it pretty impressively. So let me pull up this video.
I'm cracking open this classic Charizard because the hollow foil is covered in scratches. There's mold spots on the surface, residue all over the back, and a coin-sized dent on the top. I'm going to give this card a new life by restoring these areas and send it off to PSA as a little experiment. I'm starting off with spot cleaning some of the moldy areas before I do a full sweep of card spray on the front, and I also have some awesome news about the Shadowless Venusaur and Hyperbeam Swirlugia from my last 2 videos. I received confirmation that they've been graded by PSA and are being quality checked right now. I should be able to make a follow-up video soon with the results, so I'm very excited about that. Due to the heavy scratching, I'm using a couple passes of Hyper Potion followed by a couple passes of card polish. Normally I wouldn't go so heavy on the polishing, but this card needed it super badly. I'm very happy with the results because if you look at the before and after, the bulk of the small scratches got buffed out. Anything deeply scratching the surface is hard to remove, so I'll leave it there and move on to the back. I did a full card spray sweep of the back, and then I'm also going to polish it, which is something I don't always do. Next, I'm doing a few rounds in the humidor to use the card flattening tool for the edges and dent. I do have a new strategy I'm working through for dents because I wasn't 100% happy with how I did it, and it's all a learning process. So after that, I plexiglass press the card to get any curves out, and then I send it off to PSA.
So that's crazy to me. First off, it's crazy that there's as much Pokemon in my feed as they are. We talked about Pat Flynn before. I don't like Pokemon. I'm not even into it. I am helping my stepson flip some Pokemon boxes right now so he can get a Steam Deck, but that's as far as my knowledge goes. You saw me laughing as he's mentioning that he graded some other characters that I've never heard of as well. And so it's shocking that's the thing. But like, I'm actually shocked at the depth to which people are going to crack these, to clean these. I mean, that was intense stuff right there.
Yeah, I loved it. And shout out to the creator there. I just done a bit of a sidetrack on the content. I love it how he opened a little loop back to another video that he's obviously done and said, and now there's going to be, I've got some good news on that, but I'm not going to tell you what it is in this video. So now you got to go and watch my other video. And so he's obviously starting to link his videos together, all of these shorts and things. That's a really smart thing to do if you're creating content. So shout out to that person. Definitely check his stuff out if you're interested in this topic for sure. But yeah, I mean, obviously, clearly, there's a little bit of a time commitment. I mean, that was pretty deep, different techniques to improve the card and all that sort of thing. And even watching that, it definitely gets my wheels spinning about like, there would totally be a system that you could bring, because obviously you got to purchase the card in the first place from somebody. And there would definitely be things that you're like, looking out for in a card when you're thinking about buying a card that you're going to crack? Because you're thinking, all right, if it's this thing, I can't fix that. If it's this thing, I can probably fix it, blah, blah, blah. So you kind of like, that was a hologram, right? So obviously they get a lot of scratches in the hologram bit. So you're saying, well, I can probably buff that out. But like for a non-hologram card, would you think you could improve it as much? Maybe not. Do you know what I mean? And so I can totally see you could create a whole system for knowing how to purchase the right card. That you could actually be like, well, I've got a 75% chance I can probably get a higher grade on this one. And to me, that stuff's really, as soon as I see like these little systems, that's all I start thinking about. Like, what system could I build around this to make it work? And I could totally see that here, like immediately.
Our mutual friend Bo, he helped us at our first event. He's also into this, so I went and visited him at a card show in Eau Claire, Wisconsin recently, and it was Pokemon to the walls. By the way, it's not really sports anymore. It was mostly Pokemon, but I could see just walk around the event, right, and look for low grades, and then hold it up and shine a light on it, and you're just going to be looking for these things. I think it'd be a little harder to do, looking online and trying to use someone's terrible photo to judge this, but. Look, I've done it. It's fun. It's fun to do this. So what I was shocked was like, this has become a business, right? So I think these guys actually do it for you as well. I found a few other places that do it, but these guys they'll sell you a kit. And so you can buy the whole care kit, the recovery kit. They have bundles around this stuff. They have card polish and spray. It's become a whole industry here, right? So like, this isn't certainly, I'm not, coming up with some novel idea here, but I was shocked to see the extent to which there is a business model around this at this point.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, I'm not surprised after watching that one video. Like I say, I mean, I'm already thinking about what's the business model here. So no doubt there's people who have been deep in it for years who have just seen the opportunity and gone and have a crack at it for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a full business. You often say a business is a repeatable system, right, that generates profit. I don't know if this is repeatable or systemizable, if I'm honest, right? It's going to take your eye going to card shops and going to card shows and looking online and taking a sophisticated, it's going to be math as well, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, there would be different levels to it. I think it would depend. Like the thing I like about this, and we'll probably go into some of the numbers in a minute, but like it's kind of speculative, but it's not as speculative as a lot of things, right? Because you can see what the established values for like a PSA grade 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 might be for a card, right? You can see prior auction and sales histories in a lot of places, and you can kind of get an idea, right, around, all right, well, if I get it at a 6 and I can improve it to a 7 or an 8, I'm going to make this, generally speaking, I'm going to make this money, and maybe I'll make more if somebody really wants it for some reason, you know what I mean? Or maybe I'll make it a little bit less, but I'm in the ballpark of what I'm going to make. And so you're not guessing at that point about what your improvement is. And so that allows you then to do some maths. And I want to bet that if you sat with it a while, even if you were thinking about like, if I just buy, after a while, you'd probably have to do it fairly manually in the beginning, like go to shows, look at cards closely, work out where you can improve, where you can't, all of that sort of stuff. But then after doing that for a little while, I want to think that you would be able to say, if I just bought X number of PSA 6 cards at an average price of Y, there's a percentage of those I'll be able to improve and a percentage I won't. And if that's acceptable maths, then you could just go out and system. Like if you can come to that economic, like an investor's thing, like angel investing, like if I invest into 10 businesses, one of them's going to be awesome, the rest are going to be trash, but that one that's awesome is going to make it all worth my while. I want to think that there's that here, possibly. I mean, obviously it's, different card systems, and Pokemon's hot at the moment. Basketball's been hot in the past. There's a time where baseball was hot. Like, these come and go as well, and so you would have to somehow factor that into it. Like, Pokemon's not going to be the hot thing forever. It's going to get replaced by something at some point. And so there's a little bit of uncertainty there, and demand goes up and down for different cards. I get that, like fairly regularly and whatnot, based on what's in the market. But still, I think you could algorithm out a little bit, like a system for like, if I just can purchase blah, 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 and blah. Online, X percentage of them are going to be improvable and X aren't. And work out the economics. You could work out what should I be paying for them. Like if I can lowball enough people into this price, like I'm going to be in a sweet spot. You know what I mean? I'd want to think that for sure.
Well, you'd have to find a card with a big enough market, right? It has to be liquid enough and a high enough price point, right? Let me actually give you a real example. So maybe this will be helpful here.
Hey, John here. I just wanted to take a quick moment to let you know about the Low Bar Pod membership. If you've been loving the show and you'd like to hang out with myself, Ben, and a whole bunch of other like-minded individuals, then the Low Bar Pod membership is for you. It's just $9 a month or $7 a month if you take the annual option, and here's what you're going to get. One, you can join our private community platform where all of our members hang out, where myself and Ben hang out. We chat with each other. We share all sorts of stuff, ideas, ask questions, get feedback. So you get access to that community. You get access to one live Ask Me Anything session each month of the year with myself and Ben. So we get on a call. It's hosted video call. It's live. You can ask questions. You can pre-submit questions and have them answered by us. Anything to do with business. And you get access to the recording and the transcripts of every Ask Me Anything session. You get direct chat access to myself and Ben in the community. So anytime you want to run an idea past us, have us check something, have us look at your business, whatever it might be, you can chat with us in there. You get direct and exclusive access to all of the Low Bar Pod challenges that we're either running, we have run, or we're going to run in the future. So our membership platform has a space in there for all of our challenges. For example, a 75 hard business challenge that we've talked on the podcast recently, that happens inside our membership, not outside of our membership. You get access to all of the podcast and Ask Me Anything transcripts for every episode. We post those within our membership area. So if you're somebody that wants to read what we talk about rather than watch videos or listen in, you can do that. And then finally, every Monday we send out our 3 Moves Monday newsletter. We only send this to our members, and in that newsletter every week you get 3 business ideas or strategies that you could implement into either starting a new business or growing an existing business. So it's just $9 a month. You can cancel at any time, and all you need to do to get in instantly is head to lowbarpod.com/join. You'll find a link to that below.
So you showed a Jordan earlier. Let me show you the Jordan. So this is it. This is the creme de la creme. This is the rookie Jordan everybody's looking for. It's a 1986 Fleer Michael Jordan PSA 10. This is the card, right? So when we talk through the numbers here, I want you to really think of this card here. Let me pull up some numbers. So recently graded, right? PSA 8 is where I started. A recently sold PSA 8 went for $10,000. A recently sold PSA 9 went for $25,000. And a recently sold PSA 10 went for $250,000. So like the variance between grade levels here is kind of bananas. So can you go, do the math on what does it take to buy a PSA 8 for $10K, crack it, clean it, resubmit it, right? You're going to have to pay, honestly, a little bit higher grading fees because the card is worth more as well. So those are the maths you're going to have to figure it out. But if you can go from an 8 to a 9, you just made $15K minus your grading fees, minus your, you're holding cash for a little bit there too, right? Or some debt there as well. If it comes back at 10, it's life-changing, right? It's pretty unlikely that you're going to get a 10 from an 8, but you never know. You never know what the guy behind it's just some guy behind the screen grading your card, right? And so it also feels like there's some room for some fuckery here, right? Like, how hard is it to make good friends with the guy who does the grading at PSA? And, I'm sure some of this happens under the table. They now have PSA Vault as well. And so like, I'm positive there's something going on there. There's been scandals that have come out of they keep it at PSA Vault. They go grab an 8 out of the vault and go, you know what? I'll pay you this price for that and mark it a 10. And now they have a card that's up even higher and put it right back into the vault. And so I'm not making any allegations. There's been plenty of those made on the internet, but I don't know. This feels like you could, like you said, come to a calculated gamble on some of these cards.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the biggest kicker in all of it is like the grading system's consistency. I mean, that's the risk here, right? Really. I mean, yes, you're going to have some risk in are the cards you're buying actually improvable to the level that you need them to improve? And maybe there's actually a sweet spot. Maybe you're aiming just for cards you can go from PSA 7 to 8. Do you know what I mean? Because that's the easiest improvement for still a reasonable price. Maybe you're not even trying to get to 9 or 10 because that's really hard. Maybe. And maybe it's just you're aiming for 7s to 8s all the times, or 6s to 8s, or something like that. I probably want to say it'd be those middle tiers that are probably more likely you're going to improve rather than going from like 8 to 10, because I truly think that's probably hard for a card that's already been graded an 8 to go to a 10. I want to think. I mean, I don't know, but like the big outside of that sort of risk, the biggest risk is like the grading application. Do you know what I mean? Because you're right. At the end of the day, it is a dude behind a screen, and it's probably a different dude at different times, and all of that sort of stuff. And as you say, there have been allegations made about, and maybe some things proven in the past about fuckery on behalf of those organizations, which we won't dig into too much here, I'm sure. But like that's a risk, and so everything comes with a risk, though. And certainly on the exam, obviously other cards are not going to have quite as large a a spread as that and as higher numbers as that either. But yeah, like I say, I mean, if you could systemize it, then you could do it at a bit more volume. You wouldn't need to play with cards with such high volumes, such high values, because you could inject a bit more volume into it to make up some money. So, like, I don't know, like looking at the work involved in actually improving the cards, I mean, that didn't look like particularly onerous work. The materials involved are not. Like, that dude had a pretty sweet setup. He had a humidor and the little plexiglass things for flattening and all that sort of thing. But even that's not that expensive. Right. You know, like the little products on that website you showed for the various little, liquids and things and polishing tools and whatnot. I mean, those were like $50 or something for a set of that stuff. And so, you know, is this something you could do on the side as a side hustle just to make some extra money? Pretty easy, right? You do it at your kitchen table. You know, you don't need much special stuff to do it. So I think it would pair really well if you're somebody who's into cards. Like, obviously, like, I mean, if this was an interest for you and you're collecting them anyway, yeah, I mean, this would probably be an interesting thing to play around with, either to feed your habit of buying more cards for your collection, or just to make some extra cash on the side, or, you know, and who knows, like, maybe this is a business.
And honestly, if you're into cards, you're into gambling, right? And so that's what this is. You're gambling. But I think you can, like you said, systemize it. Maybe you don't go after the big cards like Jordan, right? Then you run the risk of people are faking these cards at this point, as you can imagine, right? And so maybe you send it in your 8 and they send it back and say this card isn't real, right? And then you're back at square one. And so you probably have to find a middle market. You'd have to find distinguishable traits you can adjust, right? If it's not centered well, there's nothing you can do to make it centered well. If it has really bad corners, maybe the corners aren't as easy to fix as there is mold spot or brightening it up or scratches or things like that. And so, but I do think there's a system here. Can I tell you a funny story, actually? I don't know if my brother's going to hate me for this or not.
Probably will,
sorry, Josh. All right, this anonymous guy I know worked at a job, definitely not my brother, and he worked at a trucking company, and his the owner of the company had moved, I believe, and they had put you know how I'm sure you at some point in your life you have all these bins in your garage or bins in your basement that like just build up and build up and build up, like all of your junk, right? This family had used some of their truck trailers, their tractor trailers, to store all this stuff, so they're at the company, and they're just throwing stuff into a dumpster out of a tractor trailer. I don't know the exact details of how my brother was standing there, but he was standing there and he was like, "What's that?" And he's like, "Oh, those are my old cards." And my brother goes, well, "Yoink, I'll take those old cards out of there." Brings them home, never thinks about it again. So they've been sitting there for 6 months, maybe even a year at this point. Our mutual friend, Ben, who's into cards, Ben Fry, goes over to his house. He's hanging out with not my brother, sorry, hanging out with his friend. And this person's wife was like, "Hey, you should have Ben look at his cards before you leave." And they open up the it's like a suitcase, not like a briefcase, maybe like a suitcase, an old like leather contraption, and they start pulling out cards, and somewhere in there they like realize there's a shit ton of 86 Fleer in here. Like they've got all of the, like, I'm pretty sure Charles Barkley was a rookie that year. Yeah. Hakeem Olajuwon was a rookie that year. It's a pretty infamous set, if I'm honest with you. Yeah. And all of those are in there. But there's something starkly missing, right? It's the Jordans. Then they stumble on the stickers. So inside of there was like these stickers that are very valuable as well, like Michael Jordan stickers and some other stuff. And all of them are there. And they're like, "Wow, that's so weird that everything's in here." But of course, why would the Jordans be in here? And they're just about to be done. And somehow Ben like finds this hidden pocket. And behind there, wouldn't you know it, a screwed in case, just like you showed, Michael Jordan rookie card sitting in there. And they're like, "Holy crap, no way this is real." And Ben keeps digging. Wouldn't you know it, he pulls out a second one. There's 2 Michael Jordan rookie cards in this briefcase that his boss was going to throw away. And still to this day, this is years ago at this point, still to this day, my brother has done nothing with them. He hasn't graded them. I bought him a safe for Christmas. Sorry, not my brother. Bought a safe for this person I know. He put them in the safe. Hopefully, please tell me you put them in the safe, sir. And then like hasn't, I don't know why he hasn't graded them. Why? Maybe our last episode was with Valentina. Maybe he needs to talk to Valentina. Maybe he's worried it's going to come back not real or not graded or whatever. But what a wild story. Can you imagine just seeing your boss throw away some shit? And he doesn't work there anymore, so I'm sure he's just like, fuck that guy. You know what I mean? I bet he feels really good about this this lucky break for himself.
Yeah, I mean, you hear stories like that, of course, from time to time, and so that's a really cool story. I don't know if it's I can't believe that happened, or I can't believe that your brother hasn't done anything with those cards. Come on, Josh.
Not my brother. Actually,
Your
now that I
brother's
think
friend,
about it,
whatever.
now that I think about it, he convinced one of our friends to grade some of them, and they would split the cost. Right? This is very much my brother. You know, you go do the work, we'll split it with you. That's very much my brother's way. So now I'm remembering he did try to grade these, John. He sent them in with that friend and a big group of people stuff. They sent it in a not insured high enough box and not signature, none of that stuff box. They sent it in a box they shouldn't have sent it in, if I'm honest with you, just like priority mail. Then they get a picture from PSA of the box ripped open. And they're like, we can't grade this. Yeah. And so like, I'm re-remembering this now. The whole group chat's like, what a fucking idiot. How did you screw this up? Like, and we're kind of mad at the guy who said he would grade it for him as well. One of our other friends. And we're all sad, right? And 2 weeks later, the guy who sent it in calls and goes, you're not going to fucking believe this. PSA has to ship you the damaged box back. It has a clear like box cutter line on both sides. Like somebody at USPS saw it was going to PSA and cut it up clearly, but they must have got caught in the middle of it because in this damaged box they returned, there's 2 Michael Jordans still sitting in there. Like somehow they went from almost stolen to PSA, who doesn't grade them. They see a ripped box and they have to send it back, and it sends it all the way back. And so, yeah, he took years to not grade it. Then he did grade it, and now, yeah, I don't think he's going to grade it. Like, why would? There's no way he's going to try to send these in again. I've offered to fly him out there. They have like a walk-in service, and who doesn't want to go to California as well? Like, let's go. So,
but like, what are we talking about here? Cards that might be worth tens of thousands of dollars. How are you not just walking it in there? Like, what does it cost the flight to California? Like, come on, you're not international here. Like, I would hop on an international flight and walk it in there if I had those cards, man. Jeez.
Well, I know he's our best listener, and so I know the moment this comes out, whatever that March 9th when this comes out, I will have a text that says #BroTrip ? Because he's going to say, let's go do this now.
Yeah, do it. Come on, man.
Quick ad. I take this stuff called KE4 from Ketone Aid. It tastes like rocket fuel, like actual rocket fuel. I'll show you. Yeah, it's brutal, but I'm in flow state 90 seconds later, whether I want to be or not. Pair it with Alpha GPC, and I get more done in 2 hours than I would in a normal day. I recently chatted with the founder, and he takes this product way more seriously than most supplement people. If you want to try KE4, go to ketoneaid.com/low bar. They're giving our listeners free shipping if you go through that link. Just know it tastes terrible. It isn't cheap, and it will make you uncomfortably productive. That's ketoneaid.com/low bar. All right. So some of the notes I took here is like PSA is the only grading company that matters. So like, I don't think you could use Beckett for this, although they literally just bought Beckett as well. There are some smaller players, and so I wonder if there's an ARB there of like CGC to PSA or something like that. But there's also like other things that not just cards that are graded out there. And so maybe this isn't like you're cleaning up a card, but could you be, cleaning up an old video game or an old set of sneakers or coins or comics, or there's a lot of stuff that is graded and sold as collectible nowadays. So I don't know. This got me going down a rabbit hole of like, what are the different types of things that we could find and crack open and regrade.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the thing. I mean, there's tons of collectibles out there, obviously. And is there many collectibles that kind of have the volume in a market as cards do? Like, there's a lot of packs of cards that are sold, and for some classes of collectibles, there is not as many of the individual things made, and maybe there's not as much of an opportunity to acquire them often to like improve and sell on to somebody else. But yeah, I mean, for sure, I think you could have some version of this. Like, I mean, it exists, right? Collectible, even to the stage of collectible cars. I mean, there's been whole TV shows made about people who go and find the old car sitting in a shed that grandpa forgot he had a Stingray Corvette out there, and like, or some original Porsche kind of thing, and like somebody goes and grabs it and brings it back to its former glory, and then it's worth like whatever these things are worth. And so yeah, there's got to be other opportunities out there to do this for sure. And so if you're somebody who's got a passion for something like that, like, kind of be a no-brainer.
It's funny you bring up the cars. My algorithm is dialed in at this point, right? I literally have a note in our idea sheet is to talk about this, because it's like, it's people, finding these cars, and then their whole, 2-minute video is them spraying it off, scrubbing it out, cleaning the inside, and like, showing this 1989 whatever that they pulled out of a barn and what they can sell it for. And, when they pulled it out of the barn, it looked like shit and they didn't pay much for it. And I don't know, that stuff sounds like a lot of fun to me too. Like American Pickers, is that what the name of the show was way back in the day? If you could just ride around in a van and dig around people's barns and look for cool shit. I don't know. I'm a big fan of watching that type of content.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think at this point in time we should underestimate what people are not prepared to do. That you could do to old mate's got an old car sitting around in his shed, and he's just like, I'm old. I'd be fuck doing anything with that, and I don't need the money. Like, it doesn't necessarily cost you a lot to go and pick it up, clean it, even just cleaning it without doing any of the resto work, just cleaning it so it's actually saleable. You know what I mean? You're going to make some money probably there if it's a model that people actually desire, and it's got a good market value. And so sometimes the bar is not that high in terms of fixing things up so that somebody else will pay you money for it. I mean, it's kind of like returns flipping. We had Shannon on last week or recently, a couple of weeks ago, to talk about, and it's kind of like that. Like you just got to go and make a little bit of effort, not necessarily a lot of money, other than acquiring the thing, which in the case of cars could be a decent amount. But like, are you going to get a return? Well, you're not going to sell it for less than you bought it for. You're not going to go out and buy a car that's been sitting in a shed for 40 years and sell it for less once you've improved it. Maybe you break even, but you're not going to lose, right? And so I think with this, like, it is gambling for sure. There's an element of gambling, but it's kind of like not gambling, because you do kind of know the outcome if you do the work. Like true gambling, you don't truly know the outcome. Do you know what I mean? Like 100% for sure, otherwise we'd all be rich. But here you kind of do. You're like, if I can get this to a certain level, then I can see from history that it's going to sell for X amount of money, give or take a little bit. So yeah, I think it's a little better than gambling.
You're stumbling onto the thesis of this show. Is just like, how do you train your brain to start seeing deals? Because they're everywhere, right? Whether it's cleaning a car or seeing a car in a shed or flipping something or buying return pallets. Like, there's opportunity everywhere to arbitrage, to make money. There's places for deals everywhere.
And I think it's not even that. I think it's even like, how do you train yourself to like get out and do that thing? I truly think most people in the back of their minds, they know that they've seen a little opportunity like this for something that they're familiar with in their life, for a passion they have or a niche they're interested in or their hobby or whatever it is. I reckon so many people actually have this, and they're just like, they're doubting themselves and they're just not going and having a go because of the fear. And once again, we got Valentina on this show recently. Like, we talked about this. Like, I think that's actually the trick. If you're listening to this, you probably actually know the thing. Like, you probably, or you know a thing that you could do that at worst, you'll probably just break even on it. Just go and have a go. What do you got to lose?
Well, sometimes the hard part's the temptation, right? So I'll tell you a story that's literally happening right now. I'm going to document it in our Low Bar community. If you want to come join our community, hang out with John and I, it's lowbar.com. You can click the little button at the top. Come hang out in our community. We're just hanging out. We want to hang out with other entrepreneurs who are doing cool shit, so we'd love to have you come hang out with us. But I'm going to share it in there as well. My wife's at Costco last week. She texts me, "It's happening again." And that's all she wrote. And I was like, what's happening again? And she's like, oh, the nerds are here. And they're all standing in a line at the front. There's some drop going on for Pokemon. And I was like, okay, cool. Send me a picture. I want to see the line. I want to see the people in the line too. That'd be fascinating. Actually, I'll tell you a real quick story. It was a really warm December. We saw it was going to be 75 in Des Moines, Iowa. So we drove to Des Moines, Iowa. It's a very fond memory of my wife and I now of this like 2-day trip that we took. We go sit at the sculpture park, and all of a sudden hundreds of these clear, I don't know any better word than nerds. Forgive me if there's not a better word than this, but like, they're all showing up and they're talking about a hatching, and they're talking about a raid. And all of a sudden we're on the side of the street. There's cars pulling up. There's like dudes on their phone with their wife yelling at them. And we're like, we're just sitting here enjoying this. We have no idea what's happening. It turns out there's like a Pokemon Go thing, something with something hatching there, or a raid or something. And the conversations we heard, the people we got to watch, incredible, right? So as she's at Costco, I want this picture. I want to see these people in line. And she's like, fuck it, I'm getting in line. I was like, okay, cool. What are they selling? And she's like, I don't know. It's $99. They only have a few left. And I was like, send me a picture real quick and I'll tell you if it's worth anything. And I don't hear back for like 5 minutes. And then she sends me a picture. She's like, I got 2. I panicked. I'm sorry. I got 2 of them. I hope they're worth something. So she comes home. We look them up. And of course, they're worth more, right? They're a drop. I think we paid $180. I think they were $90 a piece. We paid $180 for it. I think we have them listed for $285 or something right now. They'll sell. And so I set them on the counter. That's my goal of this is we've got 2 11-year-olds. One of them really wants a Steam Deck right now. We want him to get the really nice high-end one that'll last him a while. And so we're making him save up for it. We're making him earn stuff, making him learn how to make money.
Sure.
So I'm home that late. You and I record late on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So they've been on the counter a while. When I get home, both kids are doing this. They're giving me a little side eye over there like, hey, you going to say something about those boxes? I say nothing. We eat, they have dinner, we hang out, they go upstairs, and then I put them out on the table, and I'm like, Isaac, come down here. And he runs down. He sits at the table. You can tell he's like, hell yeah, we're going to rip open these cards, because we've ripped open a bunch of V-Friends together. It's been a really good time. He's enjoyed that. And so I have to tell him right out of the gates, hey, we're not going to open these today. And he's immediately very, very sad about this. And then I explained to him, I'm like, hey, so I want to teach you how to make money. Here's what I think. Mom got them for this price. Let's just assume you paid for them. And here's what we can sell them for. And what do you think? Do you want to make this money towards your Steam Deck? What do you want to do? And he sits there for a while. He's like, let me think. And he like puts his head down. He thinks for a good 2 minutes. And he's like, I've made my decision. I'm like, great. Because I really want this to be his decision, John, not mine.
Sure.
And he goes, I'm going to open one and I'm going to sell the other. And I was like, no, we're not. Actually, you're not going to open either one of those. And here's why. Like, I want you to make money. You can't, if there was more of these, it'd feel very similar to me in high school buying, an ounce of weed and selling 3/4 of it and keeping a quarter for myself. But there's no room to make money. If he sold one and kept one, he's going to lose $30 on the deal and get to open a box. That was not the goal of what we're trying to do. I want him to make money. And so I had to give him the bad news. He cried for a good hour after that, if I'm honest with you. I think that's hard, right? So when you say people who are knowledgeable with this, that they should do this stuff, sometimes that's the hard part, right? Like you have I don't even know what it's called, Charizard X 18 pack something or another, whatever, like on the table, and you just want to rip it. I went through this too. I think I told you this, the V-Friend Sapphire box. I could have sold the box for $8,000 unopened if I would have just sold the box. And it sat in my fridge for a month, John. And I just kept going, I should sell that. But what if it's in there, John? What if the card is in there? And I end up opening the damn thing. I end up selling all the cards for about $2,000. I didn't have, the card wasn't in there, but I could not resist that gamble rather than making the money that you could make. So I don't know if it's actually a good thing to be in the industry and thinking about flipping something, because there's the urge to like have a different kind of gamble and maybe hit the card is enticing.
Yeah, that's a good viewpoint. I didn't think about that, and I can totally see it. There would have to be some things that or what if I just I got this thing and I improved it? Why don't I just keep it for my own enjoyment? And you're not going to make any money, at least not in a business sense, if you keep it right for the next 10 years or something. And so. Yeah, I can kind of get that, because really what you're going for is with this is it's with building a business around this sort of stuff is you're going for small consistent wins over time. You're not trying to get the big score or the big, you can't think about business like there's just going to be one big score and I'm going to walk away and be like a millionaire or whatever. It never ends up working out that way. If you want to run a business, you've got to be prepared to be satisfied with a whole bunch of small wins that compound over time into something great. Do you know what I mean? Or just average, average outcomes and maybe the big card's in there. But you know what? Buying it for $4,000 and selling it for $8,000 is good, rather than risking only selling it all for $2,000 and losing money. And so, that's a real fair point. You would have to be very disciplined with yourself to make it work in the long run, for sure, I think, if you were super passionate about the product. Yeah.
There's a phrase for that, John. Don't get high on your own supply. I'm pretty sure that's where that came from.
Hey, John here for just a sec. You know how we're always breaking down these wild business ideas and road testing opportunities that other podcasts won't touch? Well, we're growing our own business here, this podcast, and we need your help. So here's the deal. If the Low Bar podcast has given you that holy shit I can actually do this moment, or just made your commute less boring, help us out. If you're watching on YouTube, go and hit that subscribe button. If you're listening on Spotify, go to our profile page on Spotify and smash that 5-star button. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, hit the review button and leave us a review. It takes you just 30 seconds, costs you nothing, but helps us reach more people who think starting a business is rocket science, which it's not. And it will also give us the momentum we need to do even more fun and crazy business stuff right here for your entertainment. We love to keep it real with you. Now keep it real with us. Let's grow this thing together.
I actually think we should do a segment on the kid stuff, because I think you might have a different take than I do. I really want them to learn how to make money, however that comes to be. They don't need to be an entrepreneur to know how to go make money, because I just know too many people who feel stuck. They feel wherever they are in their life, that this is as good as it gets. I know I certainly felt that at one point in my life, that this is it. Holy shit, I just need to bide my time to retirement or whatever, or get by and make ends meet. Where in reality, you know, Shannon's come on here and showed you can make an extra few $100 to $1,000. He has a student who's been in my inbox, Mindy, if you're watching this, she'll probably end up being on here. She bought a pallet of books for $1 and sold them for $5,000, right? Like, there's opportunity literally is everywhere. That's all I really want to teach these kids. I wonder if you'd have more dad advice for me of like, hey, don't shove this down their throat, let them be kids kind of thing. Whereas, you know, I want them to do cool stuff, and I've got a bunch of ideas how they can make money this summer, and, you know, I certainly wouldn't mind sharing them on here and having someone to give me feedback on them.
Yeah, look, I think there's definitely a way to do this, and I do think it is important. Like, I mean, I think there's probably an age before which you don't need to worry about it, because, you know, if you're talking about like 4 or 5 year olds, right, their brain isn't formed to the point where they're going to grasp the point or the need or any of that sort of stuff, and trying to force it on them. Like, I see these dudes like, oh, my 3-year-old, I'm teaching them to be an entrepreneur. No, you're just a dick. You're not. They don't get it. I don't care what you say. They're not capable. Like, a 3-year-old has the intelligence of a pig. Like, literally. Right? So, like, you're not fucking teaching a pig how to do business, right? So I don't care what you say. But, like, at a point, 10, 11, sure, that's where your twins are at. You know, that's a different story, right? And I think there's a way. Like, I don't think giving your kids some fun little things to play around with where they still get an outcome, but maybe they learn to wait a bit longer for it, so they don't have instant gratification, which is kind of what Isaac was looking for there. He's looking for, how can I get a bit of my dopamine now, but actually also get some payoff later? So he was trying to play the middle road of, I'll take a bit of column A and a bit of column B. Like, I mean, I get it, right? Totally. And I don't think that takes away from them being kids. You know, once again, you have to present it in a way that they shouldn't be concerned about making money or not, because they should fail at some things you try and teach them as well, right? Because they're going to learn from that too. But you can make it a fun experience as well. Do you know what I mean? And there can definitely be a good outcome for them. And I think the biggest thing for me is, and you mentioned it, is not so much trying to railroad them into business is the only way and you've got to be an entrepreneur and blah, blah, fucking blah. But like giving them avenues to see opportunities that exist that are not what they're generally going to be presented with in the course of going to school or whatever it might be that they do day to day, and like opening their eyes to the pathways to those different things, so that when they get to the A, they have a chance to start recognizing, like, not only what are the opportunities that are out there, and that there are multiple things that can work. It's not just there is one thing that will work for you and that's all you should do, but like there's multiple things that can work. And I can see those, and I can start to recognize the frameworks of what those things might be. And it's really about teaching your kids like how to recognize an opportunity of something you could do if you're interested in it. Like not how you actually do the thing, but like the higher level things. Like this is how you could see that you could make money from something. This is how you sell anything, right? Like that. Those are the skills that I think if you get to your adult life and you know how to see a good opportunity, you know how to sell something, the what doesn't matter. The what's irrelevant, right? I mean, we're selling Pokemon cards, selling cars, selling physical products in an e-commerce store, creating a little service, mowing somebody's lawn. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, insert product, insert service. And so I think for me with my kids, it's more about being aware that there's a bunch of different things that they can do, that they should try a bunch of different things when they're young, like a young adult or a teenager or a whatever. And like just the kind of high level business skills, like this is how selling stuff works. If my kids get to being an adult and they understand those things, I'll be thrilled. Will I be disappointed if some of my kids don't become business owners? Absolutely not. Maybe one of them ends up being an artist. Maybe one of them works a job. Maybe one of them runs a business. Like, why would I care? Like, I just want them to be whatever they want to do. If they do it to the best of their ability and they get something from it, then that's box ticked for me as a parent.
I want to teach them skills like you mentioned, right? So I heard this recently on a podcast. I want to paraphrase it. I'll probably get it wrong. But it was somebody talking about their entrepreneurial journey, and they were like expressing a thing that stood out in their childhood. And it was a story of them being at some shop, don't really know where, and he really liked the jacket that was there. And he didn't bother asking because he knew his parents would say no. It was like $60 jacket. And so they go out to the car, and halfway to the car, Dad stops, turns around and goes, "You really wanted that jacket, didn't you?" And he pulls out his wallet and he gives him a $20 bill and he says, "Go get it." And the kid's like, it's a $60 jacket. And it's like, I know, go get it. Like that was the moment for him where it was like, this is possible. You can go back in there and you can get this jacket for $20. And the kid did. Now he's a prolific entrepreneur, and he talks about moments like that. I want to create those moments for the kids. So whether it's a moment exactly like that, probably not. But again, here's an idea I had for him, John. Riff on this with me. So we go. In the winter, we go to Florida. Less so this year because we put the kids in school, but we still went to their favorite arcade. They love arcades. So I would imagine whatever arcade we went to there is, similar to one you go to wherever you are. The games are, they're a little bit rigged, right? The claw machines don't exactly grasp super well. And even if you go to, a carnival, it's the same sort of thing, right? They have, put all the bottles out and you're throwing the rings trying to land them on the bottles or shoot balloons or whatever. All the games are fun. But they're like a casino, right? They're, 60-40 meant for the carnival owner, if not even more than 60-40, if I'm honest with you. So what would stop us building a carnival in our driveway, right? So when we talk about businesses, the kids are like, oh, we could have a lemonade stand. I'm like, nah, don't do a lemonade stand, right? And they're like, oh, maybe we could do, some other idea that's been done in the area. And I was like, that's fine. And they work, certainly. If you put up a lemonade stand in my neighborhood and post it in our neighborhood Facebook group, you're going to get a bunch of people coming over there. There's our neighborhood, and then there's like a similar neighborhood of mostly retirees connected to it. And the retirees will come over and buy lemonade from you. And I think that it would do fine. But I want them to do great. I want them to see what's possible to do something out of the box. And I was like, why don't we just build this? Why don't we go buy, let's spend $100. Let's go buy the wood, buy some bottles, buy some rings, bags. You could do bags, right? Like, can you make 4 bags in the hole in a row? No kid's going to make 4 bags in the hole in a row. Can we set up a carnival in our driveway? Hopefully our HOA doesn't have an issue with this, but can we set up a carnival in our driveway? And all the kids in the neighborhood are going to come there, right? They're going to come with their money. The prizes could be simple as candy. They could be, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be much. Your margins are going to be incredible here. The kids should be having fun because they're getting to watch these kids play these games all day long. The kids should be having fun doing it. Tell me, am I crazy on this idea, or does this one seem like something worth building?
I mean, yeah, have a go. Like I say, I mean, you've got to, as much as you want kids to try things that work. I mean, if you've also got to teach them that it's okay that if you have an idea, even if you don't know whether it's going to work or not, but you think it might work, have a go. Protect your risk, protect your downside if you can, but have a go. If it doesn't work, hey, no sweat. We tried it. Now we know something. It doesn't work. Or maybe we know how we could do it better next time because it worked a little bit, but it didn't work that great. And so let's have another go, but we'll do it differently next time. Yeah, I mean, I think absolutely. As well as that, maybe it's just terrible. Maybe it's terrible. And you're there with them and they're going to see your response to it being terrible. Like how do you come back from a failure? What do you do when you fail? Do you know what I mean? What's everybody scared of when they go into business as an adult? Failing. Oh, what are people going to think when I fail? Blah, blah, blah. I think if you expose kids to a little bit of failure and they see that, oh, actually nobody makes fun of you, nobody else gives a shit really. The people in the street, they forget about it by the next day. They're not thinking about you more than 10 seconds after they stop talking to you. You know what I mean? Life goes on. Kids see that. That's a freaking great lesson to learn. If you, walk them through that at the time and all of that sort of thing, it's great to learn. Hey, I can try things when I have an idea. And if I screw up, mum and dad aren't going to yell at me. All my friends aren't going to hate me. The sky will still be blue the next day. Great lesson to learn.
I just wanted to do something, right? One of the first times I experienced this was I went and visited our mutual friend, Brian Angel, and stayed a couple days at his house. And he woke up super early one morning and he's like, hey, I'm running to the donut shop. I'll be right back. And he went and he bought a dozen donuts, and him and his kids had built a little stand. And they were kind of the choke point of the entire neighborhood to go out to the main road. Yeah. So they just put their stand at the end of the driveway and said donuts. And wouldn't you know it, every parent stopped by, oh, hey, Brian, hey, Allie. And they would buy a donut from the kids. And the kids didn't have to really do anything but sit there and be cute, right? And they were saving up for a Disney trip, and the kids, each of the kids got a donut when they were done, which made them thrilled as well. And I was just like, man, this, I look forward to those days with my children to do these things with them. They're going to learn so many lessons. But I enjoy talking to this stuff about this stuff with you because you always see it from a different angle. You're paying much more attention to what the kids are observing, and I'm paying attention to what I want them to feel, and you tend to ground me and make me step back and go, what are they going to learn from this?
Yeah, I think even in that example, it's a good one, right? Because I've had this same conversation with my kids, right? Where they're like, oh, can we go and start a little stall out the front of our house on the sidewalk where we sell stuff? And I'm like, no, You can't. Why? But why? So Brian may well have done this, so I'm not coaching him here, but like he's at a choke point in the neighborhood where everybody has to go past, so it makes sense to sell donuts there. And that's what you have to explain to your kids. This is the opportunity. It's not that we're selling donuts that people like. That's the second part. The first part is we're at a point where everybody has to pass, and so there's going to be real traffic going through here. And it doesn't really matter what we sell. As long as it's something people want, they're probably going to buy it. Where I live on a cul-de-sac in a suburb that has somebody walk past or a car go past once every 4 hours. So this is what I explain to my kids. I say to them, no, I'm not saying no because I don't want you to do that or I don't want you to try and sell stuff. Where we live is the wrong place to do that. So there is no opportunity here for you. So let's think about where could we sell stuff? Is there somewhere else we could sell stuff where there's lots of people going past that we would actually have customers? And so like, whenever you always have to be really careful, I think, with kids that if you're saying no for a good reason, particularly if it's a business reason, make sure they understand that because that's about spotting the opportunity. And I think where a lot of people, when they try a business as an adult, is they don't understand how to spot an opportunity. And so they come to market with a product with no product market fit, i.e. might be a cool product, but there's no opportunity to sell that product. Do you know what I mean? And so once again, these are just the little kind of meta skills that if you learn them as a kid, your chances of being a successful entrepreneur as an adult go way up.
Our neighborhood has 3 exits, and we're in a cul-de-sac right by one of the 3, and I would say the main exit. And so this is kind of what I told him too, honestly, after our episode where we talked about someone coming to garden for you. Like I brought it up with my wife when I got home, and the kids were like, well, can we garden for you? And I was like, yes, you're getting it. Yes, you absolutely can. And they were like, how do we do it? And I was like, well, we can build some stuff. Our house faces south on the front side, so there's not a lot of room there, but we could put stuff on the sidewalk or maybe put some raised beds in the driveway. If you guys can tend to them, then absolutely. When the tomatoes or peppers or whatever are done, you could put a little rack out there and sell those. And then my wife loves to bake, and so she was making some pretty boutique baking items, and the kids were like, hey, Mom, can we help you bake these things? And there's like a cottage bakery rule in our state where you can, as long as you address things properly and only have so much out there, you can sell whatever you want there too. And she was like, yeah, cool, let's make some baked items together. And so the ideas are starting to move in our house, which is fun. Last summer I said, if you come up with an idea, it doesn't matter what it is, I'll do it with you. I'll fund it and I'll help you do it. They never once came up with an idea all summer. So this summer I'm coming with as many ideas as I can, or a chance to seed as many ideas as I can, in hopes that, they take action, even just a little bit. Like you said, just go try something, right? Like last time we went to a choir thing, I said, how do I offer feedback from this choir that's, probably not going to be great for 5th graders? And you were like, show them how proud you are that they tried, that they put effort into something. And I think this probably applies here too, right? Just give this a go. It might fail, might be good, or might just be, pretty mediocre, but I want them to just do stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a common phrase you hear nowadays of you can just do things. And that's true. I want these kids to learn that. You can just go do things and see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you're at a young age. I mean, you have so many years to try things. If you mess up, it really doesn't matter. Like people in their late teens, early 20s, you have so much time. I mean, Gary Vee bangs on about this all the time. He's like, wait, you're 50? You've got so much time left. You know what I mean? But like if you're 18 or 16 or 17 or 14 or 21, like whatever. I mean, you got so much time at that point. Even if you're 30. I mean, I didn't start in business till I was 31 or so, I think, if I'm doing my maths correctly. If I had started when I was 21, holy crap.
Yeah, I didn't start till I was 30. I wish back in 2006 instead of, 2004 instead of 2014, I was doing something other than chasing girls and drinking a lot of beer.
Yeah, that was still fun, and it's still life experience, but yeah, totally.
As long as we're on the kids rabbit hole, I want to ask you a question that I've been thinking a lot about lately. Maybe it's never come up for you. Have you ever considered going to the local school and volunteering to speak to the entrepreneurship class? For something inside of me is pulling me to go do that. I'm not sure whether they want to hear about dropshipping, but you know what I mean? Like e-commerce or whatever. I've got a lot of experiences as well. And so, but something about me is like, I should go talk to these kids because I know they're getting taught by some high school teacher who, likely doesn't have much experience, and it would be really beneficial to hear from someone like me.
Yeah, I have. And I think there's a lot of people who could do that as well. I mean, I don't think you have to be the greatest business person in the world to go and talk to kids about this sort of stuff. And once again, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what business you're in. Because when they're kids, you're not talking about this is the opportunity. You're talking about, like I said, this is how you spot an opportunity. This is how, these are some of the things that are possible. This is kind of how it works. You know what? Like you're only at that point, you're really trying to open their eyes to what's possible rather than saying, oh, well, drop shipping or a service business or, coaching or like, you don't need to talk to them about so much about the businesses you do. There's all sorts of different angles you can come at it and talk to kids about, like how, but like, I think just opening their eyes to what's possible and what are some easy ways that they can have a go at things, obviously with their parents' support at that age and stuff like that, I think is really, and you can probably come up with some really simple fun exercises, just like to practice those things in a classroom environment for sure. And so, yeah, I have thought about that. I've also thought about like, there's some things in Australia where you can mentor like younger people around this stuff. And I've thought about signing up for that and just like giving up like an hour or two of my time a week just to mentor some young people who think they might have a business that they'd love to do or try something just to help them understand like what are those high level skills that nobody's taught them yet that they will need. They might have a great idea, but if you don't know how to sell your great idea, you ain't going to sell your great idea, you know what I mean? And that's the thing I love about kids. Kids come up with ideas way better than adults. Like a kid can come up with 1,000 ideas because their imagination still works. They just don't know what to do with them. Do you know what I mean? They don't know how to sell an idea. They don't know how to bring an idea to actual reality. And so I think ideation is never a problem for a child. It's the structure behind an ideation that they can't grasp yet. And how to recognize which one of your 1,000 ideas is likely to be a good idea. And then when you have a great idea, what do you do with it? You know what I mean? So I think that's where the real value in what you can pass on is.
The idea in my head is, it's a group of juniors, seniors, some people who are, a little more developed, probably have their own idea that they're working on. And I can come in there, maybe they have some Q&A for me. Cool, great. But I want to hear your ideas and then help you, like you said, work around some of the rough edges and help you think about it through a different lens, have a different framework for the way you're thinking about whatever it is that you want to build. Because I'm sure there's a senior somewhere who's got an idea that's fantastic and they just need someone to, help craft it a little bit better for them.
Absolutely. Yeah, there absolutely will be. There absolutely is. There always is. Once again, it's unlikely, like for most kids, once again, like you or I, like our parents were not the people to help us with those things, probably, right? As great a parents as they may or may not have been as parents, all of that sort of thing. But like most kids are not living in a household with somebody who can help them understand these sort of things. And that's okay. That's not a slight on parents or anything like that. But like that's the opportunity that you have is that you can help. And once again, most school teachers also do not have the background to, there's some out there that do for sure. And not all school teachers need to either. I'm not saying they should. I think this could be taught a bit better in schools, or it should be more of the school curriculum in a lot of ways, but that's not individual school teachers' fault either. That's more of a failure of policy than anything else and direction. But I think that's a great way for business people to give back, is to go and find young people who don't have access to knowledge. I mean, and once again, like people say, oh, they can just go watch YouTube. And once again, like a young person's ability to sift through what is and isn't bullshit on YouTube is like zero, if I'm honest, like zero. You don't have the experience to tell who's fake and who's real on YouTube. So that's not an answer. It's really not an answer.
Well, I felt it for a while that I wanted to do this. And then last night, the fifth grade choir concert was at the high school auditorium. We walk in, concession stand was open, and we're like, that's weird. Turns out there's a basketball game going on the other side of the high school. So a little context, I grew up in a tiny town, right? We had about 100 people in my grade, town of 4,000 people. This town's 5 times the size of that. We used to own a home there, and we own a home here now, and taxes are bananas here. We moved here, and we were like, maybe we should consider not homeschooling because we are paying for something. Turns out we're paying for this amazing school. When we went there last night, I was blown away, John. This school is incredible. They have the little glass panel where they put all your trophies, like WIAA state champions in football, right? And where I grew up, it was football and wrestling. This town has everything. Like they had like people on, do some sort of ski sport. We didn't have ski sports in my tiny little school. They had everything, right? And I walk by, they have a school store that looks like you're on a campus somewhere. And they have big signs everywhere. Our students run this store, right? All the designs are done by our students. All the shirts and everything that you see is hand pressed on by our student entrepreneurs and people that, they're the ones handling all of this. And I was like, that's freaking cool, man. Like, I wish we had this when I was younger. Can I go in there and give them any tips on how to, again, foster their ideas, because their idea is going to be way bigger than just screen printing some shirts to sell at the school store. I'm sure that's a great start, but it came up last night seeing that, and I was like, man, I really want to do this. I don't even know where to begin. Like, do you reach out to the school board and just say, here's what I do? Maybe don't listen to our podcast. I swear a lot, but I'd love to give back to these students. So what's the opening salvo in your opinion?
Yeah, look, I mean, I don't know about how it works in the US. I'm not as familiar with the inner workings of your education system. Like, I would suggest that they're going to have an existing class on their curriculum that this fits with, and they're going to have some leeway to, individual teachers or individual grades are going to have some leeway to like work with that, work within that. You know what I mean? So I don't know what the classes are they have over there, or maybe it's only on certain year levels where this would make sense. But yeah, I would say, look, I would just go and approach the school and I would say, hey, look, I mean, my kids go to this school, obviously, or even if they don't, I don't think it matters. But you just say, look, I'm a local business owner. Got a lot of experience. There are children in your school who would love to hear about this. And I've got some great experience I'd love to share. If you ever have opportunities to do that, to come up to help young people better understand what their options are as they get older when it comes to things like business or maybe non-traditional paths towards making money.
Well, I didn't expect to go this way today, but I'm glad we went here. The last 30 minutes was not even on our schedule. It sounds like John's office mates there want us to get off this podcast, so we'll wrap it here. But if you want to hear more of like what we're doing, like literally I'm going to be doing this with my kids, join our Low Bar Pod community. Come hang out with us. I'm going to be posting everything that we're doing. Like I said, I've got one who wants a Steam Deck. I've got one who literally just wants to make more money and buy more Bitcoin. I've certainly trained her well. And so I'm going to be posting this stuff. I know I find it interesting. I'd love to hear what you guys are doing too. So if you're helping your kids or want to see what I'm doing, come join the Low Bar Pod community at lowbarpod.com or check it out in the description.